Today I'm just going to introduce you guys to Autodesk Inventor and give you an opportunity to get a little bit more comfortable with the tools. There are a tremendous number of tools in Autodesk Inventor that we may or may not use during these tutorials, but that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to use them. It just means that I'm not going to show you how to use them necessarily in these tutorials, but you're welcome to experiment with them on your own or look for help in using them using the help menu or all of the really good helper prompts that come up in Autodesk Inventor. So you're going to look for the Autodesk Inventor icon on your desktop, which looks like this, a big orange letter I. So you're going to right click and you're going to choose open from that menu there. It takes a little bit for that to load, so you just want to give it a minute or two to open up Autodesk Inventor. Mine's already open, so I'm going to show you what that is. You can, if yours is not open yet, you can pause this video until your application window is open. Okay. So sorry if I'm not looking at the camera the whole time during this tutorial because I'm looking at my hands and the tools on the screen. Not great for a speaker to not look their audience in the eye, but you can see the problem is I can't move the camera around. Okay, so this is you can see all of my projects that are here. These are projects where you can't see a little thumbnail of them. These are projects that my computer, all these files just got moved, their location got moved, or they got deleted when my P drive got eliminated last year by accident. So you actually can't see them anymore. But these are things I've worked on fairly recently, including some items that we are actually going to build in this class. So the first thing you want to do, this is a 3D modeling program. It's not a drawing program. Drawing programs are two-dimensional, so they draw on a flat surface. This is a three-dimensional drawing program or a three-dimensional design program. So what you're going to do is you're going to create and think about like what the basic shape of your item is that you're trying to design, and then draw that basic shape. And then you extrude that shape and to give it some volume. And I'll show you exactly what that means. It's actually pretty easy to do. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to actually click on New Part. So these are all things that Autodesk can do. We can draw parts. We can put parts together to make an assembly. We can take the parts that we just designed and we can make a working drawing of it, like for a manufacturer if they need to know how big it was and to see different views of it. And we can actually also do a presentation file, which is not a slideshow, but this creates an animation and an exploded view. So it's kind of like Lego instructions. You know, they take the whole thing and they kind of break it down into the separate parts and they show you how they get put together. And that's what the presentation files are for. We're not going to do that in this class, but it doesn't mean you can't play with it. Anyway, so what we're going to do today is we're going to be just drawing an object that is a single part. There's not like any extra nuts or bolts or screws or any pieces that need to be put together like in a Lego. We're going to just draw one thing. So we're going to just left click on part. Now you'll notice on your trackpad or your mouse, you have three options. You have a left click. And on the trackpad, there's a left click button on the, if you look down here, there's a left click button on the left and on the top left, and then there's a right click button on the lower right and top right. Those left and right buttons are the same at the top and at the bottom. So if I say left click, make sure you click one of the buttons on the left. If I say right click, click one of the buttons on the right hand side. Autodesk is very particular about which button you click and whether it's a right click or a left click, and you can open up all sorts of menus with that. So you're going to left click on part. And it might take a moment for everything to show up, but you can see this is called your graphics window right here, this big gray space. This over here in the upper left and your upper right corner is called the view cube. You can see that right there. And up along the top here is called our ribbon. All these tools up here are on the ribbon. And you can see the ribbon actually has several different tabs. So there's 3D model, sketch, inspect, tools, whatever that means, manage, view, environments, get started. It's so much stuff that you can use, so many tools that you can use that we're not even going to touch on. It's a very powerful program. And this is the program that a lot of professional engineers will use to design their assemblies and things like that. Architects don't usually use this program. They might use an Autodesk product called Revit. And if you're interested in learning how to use that, make sure you take architecture when you go to high school. Okay, anyway, so over here, the first thing we need to do in our graphics window, there's nothing there yet. The other thing you need to know is this is your view cube up here, and this helps us rotate our view. And this little pivot circle came up because there's nothing to look at right now. And you can see kind of down here in the lower left, this is our 3D modeling axis, and it tells us what we're looking at, right? So for 3D modeling, there's not just an X and Y axis, there's also a Z axis coming out at you. The Z, you can see here, it pops out at you, okay, depending on how you're looking at it. So the first thing we need to do is draw a two-dimensional sketch in order to extrude that and give it some volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Start 2D Sketch. Now you'll notice that any of these little things any of these buttons that has a drop down here gives you the option. We don't want to draw a 3D sketch. We're drawing a two-dimensional sketch first on the X and Y axis, or the Y and Z axis, or the X and Z axis to start with. So we're just going to choose Start 2D Sketch. So if we want the button that we're looking at already, you can just click on Start 2D Sketch, and it gives you these 3 work planes here. I'm just seeing if there's a group of students that are going to come in. There might be a group of students coming in here, so it's going to get kind of loud. You're going to choose your, we're going to choose the XZ plane, which is the one that's flat. You're just going to hover over that, left click on that, and it's going to bring you in almost like we're hanging above the flat surface that we're drawing on and looking straight down at it. And then we're going to click rectangle, and we're going to click and drag. You're going to left click, so you can let go of the trackpad or the mouse and still drag out that rectangle. It's showing me how big it is. It's not a very big rectangle, and I'm going to left click to drop that right corner and finish drawing. Now I still have my rectangle tool in my hand, so if I keep clicking, I'm going to keep drawing rectangles. I don't really want that last rectangle, so I'm going to click undo, and then I'm going to finish sketch. And I'm going to extrude that, give it some volume. I don't want to give it 1 inch of volume. I'm going to give it like 0.25 inches of volume, like that. Enter, and there's your first 3D model. Okay, we're going to stop there, and we'll finish this up in the next tutorial. Just trying to